This wall of Gallants is a dedication to those gallant Sugodian Ghazis and Shaheeds who fought valiantly in the two wars of 1965 and 71, and in the process winning gallantry awards. The gallant from second entry is Flight Lieutenant Tariq Habib, 118 Tempest. In 1965 Indo-Pak War, this courageous Sugodian flew a number of high-risk missions, destroying 3 Indian Air Force Canberra and 1 C-119 on the ground. With another aerial kill of a hunter, he befittingly earned Sitara-e-Jurrat. Major Ali Ahmed, number 125 Fury. During 1971 Indo-Pak War, Major Ali Ahmed conducted a brave counter-attack to secure Ghazipur forest against intense enemy fire and resistance. Despite being hit, he advanced to 500 meters to the enemy and embraced Shahadat by bullet on the chest, thus winning Sitara-e-Jurrat. Flight Lieutenant Arshad Sami Khan, 136 Fury House, second entry. During the 1965 war, Flight Lieutenant Arshad Sami Khan, as part of the prestigious number 19 Squadron, flew the highest number of operational hours with exceptional combat skills. For destroying 1 Indian aircraft, 15 tanks and 22 vehicles, the gallant Furian earned coveted Sitara-e-Jurrat. Flight Lieutenant Saiful Azam, Sitara-e-Jurrat and Bar. Again, from second entry, school number 147, Attacker House. The combative dexterity of this brave attackerite, despite bad radio, earned him an IAF NAT and Sitara-e-Jurrat in 1965 war. Later, in 1967, while on deputation to Jordan, he made it to military history by shooting down 2 Israeli aircraft in air combat, adding a bar to his Sitara-e-Jurrat and place in 22 living eagles of the USAF. Major Samin Jan Babar, Sitara-e-Jurrat and Bar. Yet another brave Sugodian from second entry, school number 154, Sabre House. This valiant Saberite demonstrated great courage and leadership during 1971 war in the erstwhile East Pakistan. Leading his company into separate operations in Satkuira and Jasur sectors, he met his objectives despite extremely adverse battle environment. He is proud recipient of Sitara-e-Jurrat and Bar. Squadron leader Javed Afzal Ahmed, Sitara-e-Jurrat. School number 156, Tempest House. In 1971 war, while operating from Dhaka airfield, Squadron leader Javed intercepted 4 Indian Air Force hunters. By skillfully shooting down 2 and forcing other to extricate, he successfully thwarted enemy attack and earned prestigious Sitara-e-Jurrat. Flight Lieutenant Sayyid Safi Mustafa, 356 Tempest and 7th Entry. Flight Lieutenant Safi Mustafa, a GD pilot, was deployed as commander of a mobile observer unit during 1971 war in East Pakistan. In extremely adverse situation when he was shifted to Maiman-Singh, he remained steadfast with his team and embraced Shahadat, fighting heavy odds, and earned the coveted Sitara-e-Jurrat. Captain Shafkat Haroon, 454 Tempest, 9th Entry. This proud Sugodian, as part of the Pakistan Army, Punjab Regiment, embraced Shahadat in 1971 war while fighting Indian forces. The gallant son of the soil displayed extreme courage and bravery in defending the motherland and earned Sitara-e-Jurrat. Commander Riaz Khan, 470 Fury from 9th Entry, had joined Pakistan Navy. During the 1971 war, on 4 December, the ship of Commander Riaz was hit by multiple enemy missiles. The Sigurdian, remaining steadfast, kept on controlling the firefighting despite serious personal injuries. For his act of valor, Commander Riaz is the recipient of Sitara-e-Jurrat. Flying Officer Shamsul Haq, 498 attacker and 10th entry. During 1971 war, while deployed at Dhaka airfield, the then young flying officer Shamsul Haq single-handedly shot down 4 Indian Air Force aircraft and damaged 1. In a total dogfight time of 1 hour and 10 minutes, he fought outnumbered against 4 Hunters, 4 Su-7 and 4 MiG-21s. This brave Sigurdian is a proud recipient of Sitara-e-Jurrat. Flight Lieutenant Saeed Afzal Khan, 556 Fury, 11th entry. On 4th of December 1971, while operating from Dhaka airfield, Flight Lieutenant Saeed engaged 4 IAF Hunters and shot down 1. Soon after, he engaged another 4 enemy aircraft, disrupted their attack, but got shot down fighting heavily outnumbered. He was declared missing and awarded Sitara-e-Jurrat. Second Lieutenant Salim Khan, 763 Munir House, 15th entry. This young Sigurdian, as part of 4FF in 1971 in East Pakistan, displayed exceptional combative skills and an outstanding defensive battle by his regiment. He bravely led a company of 42 soldiers that inflicted 540 casualties on the Indians against 35 Shaheeds from his own company. This made him win the coveted Sitara-e-Jurrat. Flight Lieutenant Shahid Raza, 257 Tempest, 4th entry. Flight Lieutenant Sajid Shahid Raza flew 11 missions during 1971 war, shooting down 1 Indian Air Force Hunter. In a later mission, after being hit, he ejected in hostile territory. He was declared missing and awarded Tamgha-e-Jurrat. Flight Lieutenant Javed Iqbal, 568 Sabre, 12th entry. Flight Lieutenant Iqbal flew courageously during 1971 war. He sacrificed his life for country while flying a bombing mission against heavily defended Amritsar airfield. He is again a proud Sigurdian, a proud recipient of Tamgha-e-Jurrat. Flying Officer Naseem Nisar Ali Beg, 664 Sabre, 13th entry. Flying Officer Naseem flew a total of 8 successful missions during 1971 Indo-Pak War. While intercepting a large formation of intruding enemy aircraft, he bravely fought outnumbered but got shot down and embraced Shahadat. His bravery earned him Tamgha-e-Jurrat. Wall of Excellence. This is a tribute to those Sigurdians who excelled in their life, in their objectives, in their careers, other than the war in peacetime. Air Chief Marshal Farooq Feroz Khan, 6'9", Fury, 1st entry. The young Farooq Feroz Khan joined Royal Pakistan Air Force Public School, Sagodha in 1953. In Pakistan Air Force, his important assignments included command of a fighter squadron and a base, ACS plans, Deputy Chief of Air Staff Operations, and Vice Chief of Air Staff. He also served as Chairman PIA. He is the first Sigurdian to become Chief of Air Staff in 1991, and then again, first Sigurdian and first Air Force officer to become Chairman Joint Chiefs of Staff Committee in 1994. Mr. Zafrullah Khan, 35 Fury, 1st entry. Zafarullah Khan joined again in 1953 in Fury House and was later shifted to attacker. He was a good debater and part of the news sheet. After joining Pakistan Civil Services in 1965, he became the first Sogdian Federal Secretary in 1998. Besides serving in Washington Embassy for over 8 years, he served as Federal Secretary to 5 different ministries. Air Vice Marshal Sultan Mahmud, 267 Fury, 4th entry. Sultan Mahmud joined Pakistan Air Force Public School Sargodha in 1956. He was a good boxer, played cricket, football and hockey and winning colours in all. After 1971, he joined Bangladesh Air Force as fighter pilot and rose to become the first Sogdian Chief of Bangladesh Air Force in 1981. Air Vice Marshal Mumtazuddin Ahmed, 295 Tempest, 5th entry. Mumtazuddin Ahmed joined Pakistan Air Force Public School Sargodha in Tempest House. He was a good debater. He joined Bangladesh Air Force as fighter pilot in 1972. During his service, he held various operational and staff appointments and finally rose to the status of Chief of Bangladesh Air Force in July 1987. General Ehsanul Haq, 589 Fury, 12th entry. Young Ehsanul Haq joined Pakistan Air Force Public School Sargodha in 1961 and did well as a keen footballer. Later, he joined PMA and got commissioned in Pakistan Army. His important assignments include Director General Military Intelligence, Corps Commander, Director General Inter-Service Intelligence, and finally Chairman Joint Chiefs of Staff Committee. Malik Naeem Khan, 681 Sabre, 14th entry. Malik Naeem Khan joined PAF Public School Sargodha in 1963. In practical life, he joined provincial politics and served as Provincial Minister of Irrigation. Later, in 1985, he got elected as member of the National Assembly and then became the first Sogdian Federal Minister with portfolio of Commerce. Air Vice Marshal Rafiqul Islam, 698 Tempest, 14th entry. Rafiqul Islam joined PAF Public School Sargodha in 1963. At the college, he was fine cricketer and took part in extracurricular activities. After 1971, he joined Bangladesh Air Force as fighter pilot and held many important appointments before taking over as Chief of Bangladesh Air Force in 2001. Air Vice Marshal Fakhrul Azam, 694, 14th entry. Fakhrul Azam joined PAF Public School Sargodha in 1963. He was a very fine sportsman with distinction of college colors in football, basketball and cricket. He graduated as house captain of his house. After 1971, he joined Bangladesh Air Force as a fighter pilot and became the 4th Sogdian Chief of Bangladesh Air Force. Air Chief Marshal Kaleem Sadat. Kaleem Sadat joined PAF Public School Sargodha in 1963. As a fighter pilot, he commanded a fighter squadron and a base. His other significant appointments included Director of Plans, Chief Instructor of NDC, Deputy Chief of Air Staff Operations, before resuming command of Pakistan Air Force in 2003. Air Chief Marshal Tanveer Mahmood Ahmed, 767 Fury, 15th entry. Tanveer Mahmood joined Pakistan Air Force Public School in 1964. He was a fine sportsman with college colors in athletics. As a fighter pilot in PAF, he commanded a fighter squadron and a base. He served as Air Officer Commanding PF Academy, Deputy Chief of Air Staff Admin, Deputy Chief of Air Staff Operations, and Vice Chief of Air Staff before assuming the command of Pakistan Air Force in 2006. General Moinuddin Ahmed, 831 Fury 16th entry. Moinuddin Ahmed joined PF Public School Sagoda in 1965. He was a colour holder, footballer and gymnast. He joined Bangladesh Army serving as Colonel Staff of an infantry division and directing staff at Army Staff College for a long time. In 2005, he became first Brigadier Chief of Bangladesh Army. Air Chief Marshal Rao Qamar Suleiman, 851 Rafiki, 17th entry. Rao Qamar Suleiman joined PF College Sargodha in 1967. After joining PF as fighter pilot, he commanded a fighter squadron, a base, Air War College and Southern Air Command. He was Deputy Chief of Air Staff Operations when he assumed command of PAF in 2009. Air Chief Marshal Tahir Rafiq Bhatt, 895 Rafiki, 18th entry. Tahir Rafiq Bhatt joined PF College Sargodha in 1968 and graduated as house captain. As a fighter pilot, he commanded a fighter squadron and a base. He also served as Director General NAB of KPK, Air Officer commanding Southern Air Command, Deputy Chief of Air Staff Personnel, Vice Chief of Air Staff, before becoming the Chief of Air Staff in 2012. Mr. Ahsan Iqbal, 1090 Yunus, 21st entry. Ahsan Iqbal joined PF College Sargodha in 1971. After matric from the college, he did his higher studies from various institutions. Later he joined national politics, serving as Policy and Public Affairs Assistant to the then Prime Minister, besides heading Pakistan 2010 program. After 2013 elections, he became Federal Minister for Planning and Development. Air Chief Marshal Suhail Aman, 746950 Alauddin, 69 GDP. Young Suhail Aman joined PF College Sargodha in 1974 as a flight cadet. He was a fine sportsman, debater and a serious student. In PF, he commanded a fighter squadron and a base. His other significant appointments include Director of Plans, Director of Operations, Deputy Chief of Air Staff Training, Deputy Chief of Air Staff Operations. In 2015, he took over as the 6th Sagodian Chief of Pakistan Air Force.
Indeed, I'm grateful to the Chief of the Air Staff for having this confidence in me to be here at our alma mater and in any capacity, humble capacity, to serve it. And standing here, I reassure you that I was never in my career serious about an assignment than being here.